Okay, so, Eleos Citadel V10. Honestly, I didn't think we'd ever get this far, but considering that every update I made brought, like, just a tiny amount of change, and frankly, Eleos Citadel was built before I knew anything about prisons. It was before I made a single valid escape. Rest assured, Eleos V1 was possibly one of the worst prisons of all time. But Eleos V10, I am very proud of. Hence, I'm finally remaking the guard video, which is way out of date by this point, especially because the guard room's been completely redone. This is totally different from the iconic guard room from versions 1 through 9, especially because now there's a beautiful lounge room built by Coriolis for the guards to hang out in. So just like the way it was before, there are some guards that only come online for visiting, and some guards that take shifts. There are 3 guard positions that have 3 guard shifts per position, so 9 guards total, and 5 additional guards which are used for the visiting process, one of which is in here, the other 4 are in the nether. I'll explain the shift guards first because they're much easier to understand. As a reminder, each one of these positions has 3 guards assigned to them on 8-hour shifts. The first is objectively the warden. Their job is to check in every 30 minutes and also keep their account online all the time so they can hear if the alarm ever activates. And the second guard that's on 8-hour shifts is of course the guy who walks around every 30 minutes to check that everything is intact, make sure no one's trying to mine blocks, and just generally make sure that the prisoners are behaving. His routes include going through all the cells, every single floor, including the build room if there's someone in the build room, the maximum security cells, and even these hallways down here, where he'll sort of just listen and make sure no one's mining blocks from inside where the boats are. Sure, someone could have respawned while the chunks were unloaded, crouched and hidden where the boats are, but they're not getting out, and if you can't hear any mining, that means there's no way for them to get out. This is also the guard who's going to run all the main functions of the prison, including providing food to the prisoners, doing the mail, opening the build room, and teaching at the Eleos Citadel school, which has always existed since V1, but I never really assigned a guard to this position, so there is one now. And the final guard, which, yes, does take shifts. Now, it's the Eleos Panic. There will be 3 guards assigned to this thing, but every week or so, however often you want to change it up, you can have the 3 guards assigned to standing on the Eleos Panic switch out with the 3 guards that are assigned with doing the 30-minute checks and all the other work. So you sort of take breaks if you're a guard. For 1 week, you'll just sit on an panic, check Discord DMs in case some of the guards are telling you your account got kicked for some reason. And for the next week, you'll just, on your shift, come on every 30 minutes and do all the regular guard functions. So that's 9 of the guards covered for the 3 positions that have 3 shifts. Now there's 5 more, and they're the ones that are involved in the visiting process. One of them sits here and does all these controls, we'll get to in a second. And the other 4 are in the nether, which has also been completely redone. So let's explain the entry process, I guess. First, the auto-panic guard will join, and as soon as he joins, the next guard to log on, immediately after him, is the Composter Guard, who is in this composter watching the Eleos Citadel 10 sign. He'll be watching out for any portal escape attempts or impossible pearl glitch attempts. Also, I'd like to point out I have the most sophisticated composter glitch of all time using this very revolutionary trapdoor. It's so satisfying. After that, 2 more guards can log on. The control guard down here, and the control guard up there, totaling 4. So for the visit to begin, the guard down here will start by opening the portal. Wow, that's crazy! Eleos Citadel has a portal that actually opens and closes now! As soon as your intended prisoner or visitor joins, you kind of just, close the portal. The area by the portal is banned, but now you know how many people have come through the portal based on the disconnect messages, so you can safely remove the player count ban. And now those players can join. Notice how I said players plural. It's possible that multiple people joined, which isn't supposed to happen, and if it did, you'll politely ask them to leave by dying, and if they don't, well, you know. But at least we give them a chance. Do note that both the upper and lower control guards in the nether should be using the F3 entity count trick to verify the security of the process along the way. And because there's no mining fatigue, if something's going wrong, understand that the biggest threats at that point are someone end exploiting to the top of the prison or building a portal. If one of those things are happening, force ban the nether as soon as possible. You know what, scratch that. I said polite, don't be polite at all. Threaten their life. Threaten them with the ban. Make them know the consequences of them not, killing theirself. So after this, you'll know that you only have 1 player left inside here. They're going to set their spawn on this respawn anchor, and then die to this lava. Before they die, you'll tell them not to click respawn. So after they die, they'll be waiting on the respawn screen patiently because their spawn point is actually obstructed. It doesn't in fact exist. And now while they're on the respawn screen, we can check something. If this light is enabled, it means there's more than 1 glowstone in the respawn anchor. So as you can see here, I've set up that case. Oh no, there's more than one glowstone in the thing. So I'll walk down this hallway. The prisoner or visitor will still be waiting on the respawn screen, unable to click respawn, because if they do, they'll just go back to world spawn. I'll break this respawn anchor and replace it and just put one glowstone back. There is no longer mining fatigue in the nether, so this really isn't a hassle. And because I'm putting the respawn anchor back, based on weird paper jank code, the prisoner's respawn point still exists. So now we safely know that there's only one glowstone left, and as soon as they click respawn, that glowstone will disappear. Now we can unobstruct their spawn point and tell them to respawn. As soon as they do, there's no glowstone left, and therefore impossible to end exploit. We can simply extend their respawn point again, and this guard is done. Now your visitor / prisoner is going to respawn at the end of this hallway, meaning now it is the job of the top control guard to deal with them, I guess. At this point you can turn the ban back on, it's not going to affect them, and you can let them walk down this hallway. If they don't comply, you can pearl glitch through these bars. And eventually, just like normal, you try to get them into this position. I feel like this has already been known. You start by blocking them off, then you push them into the portal. And you do that at the same time as the guard in the overworld opens the portal, which I'll get to in just a second, but I'd like to point out just a few other things. What is the job of the guard in this composter down here to watch for portals? It is the job of this guy up here, the control guard, to listen for the alarm. There is now a mining in detector, and when this detector activates, it will sound this alarm. Windwalker. And then flip this trapdoor perpetually. This trapdoor alarm will stay on until this guard turns it off. And in this time, knowing that the roof detector has been activated, he can use the pigs to try and figure out what the problem is, see if he can solve the problem in a very short amount of time. And if he can't, then pretty simple solution, just kind of have this guy over here disconnect and you're good. And by short amount of time, I mean like a minute or less. I mean, you really don't have a lot of time to stop this. Frankly, I just want to give some opportunity to relieve the threat in case, you know, it's a false alarm or maybe someone just launched TNT onto the roof. Look. Anyway, there's a stasis chamber here, so if you do have to go down here for whatever reason, it's pretty easy to come back up. This is really not a difficult stasis chamber to use, by the way. Just kind of do that, and then have someone flick this lever to bring you back. Now, for the moment you've all been waiting for, I've completely rewired the entire entrance process. It's no longer a mesh of observers. Look, it's so beautiful. I love it. Alright, so you're the control guard, the last guard, the only one I haven't mentioned. Number 14. What we're gonna do is, like I mentioned, as the prisoner's being pushed into the portal, this is very easy to remember. You will activate the very center note block first. That lights all the portals. And as soon as you receive confirmation they've joined, close portals right here. Pretty much what you see in your standard guard handbook, but now this is where things get interesting. I have a protocol for something that no other prison I know of has ever come up with something for. Usually they just ignore it and pretend it's not a problem. And that is, what do you do if the visitor or prisoner disconnects? So the protocol is pretty much just figure out whoever's on the shift for checking things every 30 minutes and have them include this room in their 30-minute check. If this visitor has done anything to this room, you know, repair it. And if that persists or whatever and they continue to be a nuisance, refusing to go up the elevator or whatever, they're just not cooperating, you know, just kill them. They don't have a spawn point left inside the nether, so worst case scenario, just spawn trap them. Put lava on their logout location. I don't know, it's just, you know, common sense. Come up with your own solution. It's really not that hard. Now you'll have them come up here. Obviously the gates will be closed, but I just opened them. Using, you'll never guess, the sign titled toggle elevators. Now they're closed again. And to quote the famous prison line, this is where two paths diverge. As usual, prisoners go this way, visitors go this way. The gates are labeled accordingly. So if you're doing a prisoner, you'll open this gate. They'll sort of come by, right-click this bed, and then burn in the lava. Again, at this point, if they disconnect, just close the gate, they'll be stuck in here. And this hallway will be part of the 30-minute check. It's impossible for them to log back on and mine anything in that time. The only thing they could possibly mine in that time is the bed. And yeah, they could set their bed and die and respawn in here. The guards would never know. But again, these hallways are already part of the 30-minute routine, so they can't really hide by being in here. And of course, I think it goes without saying, if you know there's a visitor who is offline in your prison for whatever reason, you can't really start a new visiting process. After that, the gates are pretty much as normal. I don't have them labeled in the guard room, but I think it's pretty obvious. Say, just for, you know, this one in the corner. that corresponds to this gate right here. A new change with prisoners, you no longer have them spend 1 hour in solitary confinement first. I don't know why that was ever a thing. I think it was just because I was an amateur prison builder. I just wanted it to feel more secure, but it's totally a useless feature, so obviously I had to remove it. Point is, all these levers are on by default. Don't mess with them. Unless, of course, you're sending someone to solitary confinement, you know, the usual. Visitors will be sent this way through a completely different kind of end exploit. Obviously, I feel like it goes without saying, but flick the thing that's labeled Visitor Gate. That'll open that gate. The visitor will go through this bubble elevator, which, I will admit, is very scuffed, but I had to fit this with the existing prison, and it would look nicer if I could completely rebuild all of Eleos Citadel, which I can't. So, the bed is right here, the place to die is right here. And again, just so we're very clear, if they disconnect in here, this room is included in the 30-minute check routine. Now this is where it gets interesting. Despite what is shown on the download, this respawn point should be obstructed during the beginning of a visit, which will happen when someone steps on this pressure plate. As you can see, this respawn point doesn't exist. Now, after you see that the visitor has died in the lava, the guard over here will press the Reset End Exploit Lock button. That will sort of push this trapdoor and unobstruct their respawn point so they're allowed to respawn. Once this player clicks respawn, however, they will immediately respawn on this, which will obstruct their respawn point in just 2 ticks. This is, as far as I know, the fastest end exploit prevention ever created. If they die, then the visit is over. If not, the visit pretty much just keeps going and going and going until they die. Now, what if they stasis out? Would you just assume that they died and open the respawn? No! You need 100% proof that they died. Either a physical chat message in-game that the guards have seen, or visual proof that they have physically died within the walls of this prison. After you know for certain that their respawn point is no longer at this bed, then it is safe to flick the final switch inside this room, which is the Reset End Exploit Lock. That will basically just push this trapdoor into place, extend upwards, and basically unblock the respawn point so the next visit can happen. Now, of all these controls, there's one singular control I haven't shown yet, and that is this gate. There's now a gate that leads to the guard elevators, which allows you to get to all the rooms, right? Well, let me tell you why that exists, and more particularly why it's 2 layers. If you download Eleos Citadel version 10, you'll realize that there's only 4 Elder Guardians total down here. Obviously, there's still 60 up there. But that means that if you died, you can respawn and have almost up to a whole minute worth of time to mine blocks before getting mining fatigue again. And you could keep doing that over and over again before half an hour completes. So it is definitely possible for any prisoner in this cell to mine several blocks before anyone finds out. But here's the catch. If you strip away every block here that can be broken in less than a minute with your fist, it is all obsidian or ender chests in these elevators. They could destroy this entire prison and it would get them nowhere. They could even get pearls somehow with endermen and pearl glitch through these walls because, and I'll say this now, this gate can obviously not open if you know there's a prisoner on the other side. The same rules about solitary confinement do still apply though, of course. If you see someone breaking a ton of blocks, absolutely send them to solitary for like 5 years. I mean, it should be very explicit that you should not be breaking blocks even if you don't have mining fatigue. So that's kind of how the humane prison meta has changed. As for this, I kind of just expect the guards that you use to have somewhat of an intelligence and be able to problem solve by themselves. I won't deny that there's absolutely so many scenarios in such a big prison with so many opportunities for the prisoner. I know how humane prisons work, but most of these problems can be solved pretty simply, and you have plenty of time to solve them. It should also be noted that if you see any cats in the prison, absolutely kill them. Better yet, if you can find their owner, kill them too. Send them to solitary, make sure no one's getting string. But alas, I figure you know everything you need to know, so I'll simply step back into the safe, relaxing room of... Wait, there's one thing left. There's one final protocol, and this is the hardest to handle. Obviously, the super easy solution would be a suicide switch, but as long as it's possible to guard this prison without a suicide switch, I will. The final protocol. What do you do if the trapdoors turn on? How are the guards expected to stop an escape from the roof? Well, this can be accomplished in 4 very easy steps. First, right-click this pig with a carrot on a stick. This This pig x-ray glitch area is divided into 4 chunks, and that is on purpose. You'll be able to tell which chunk you're in based on which one of these glowstones shows up. This has been a feature since V8, was going to be added to the handbook, but again, I didn't get around to it till 10. You can only see what's in your particular chunk. You will use this to try and find the player. If they're invisible, that's slightly inconvenient. But if not, you'll be able to tell where they are and try and calculate their location. Step 2. Start figuring out what to do. Yeah, this isn't very definitive. I mean, again, it depends on what the people are doing up there. Do they plan to leave? Are they setting a respawn point? Are they mining straight down? Are they waiting for someone to fight with? Your goal is just to make sure that no one gets within 22 blocks of the Elder Guardians, which is not too difficult. Let's suppose someone's mining down, because that's probably what they're doing. Oh boy, how will we ever get up to them? Oh, sure, would be a shame if we didn't have access to several stacks of scaffolding. Yeah, once the guard up there, as well as other guards using F3 zoom, have been able to roughly calculate nearly the exact coordinates of the player mining straight down, you'll find those coordinates. You'll just sorta set up some scaffolding in a custom position and pearl glitch up to them. Okay, Canadian, what do you do when you get up to them, though? I mean, do you expect these guards to be better PvPers than the escapists? See, all you have to do when you get up to a guard, like I said in the original video, is, you know, punch them, block off their mining, do something to reset their mining, and it will take them forever to get down here. You can simply stasis back to one of these chambers, and keep this cycle going as slowly you can get more of the reserve guards online, so you have more PvPers. Ideally, your ultimate goal is to kill them, but if you can't immediately kill the escapist, just keep getting more and more geared. We now have these blue Shulker box kits, which include the short-range missiles, which should be good for damaging players through blocks, as well as these respawn anchors, and these will help you get through the roof detector if you have to pearl glitch up through that. Ultimately, if somehow many guards are not able to fend off someone who's mining at a rate of 1 block per 18 minutes, first of all, that's sad, get better guards, and second, we have a very easy solution. Have one or more of your guards pearl glitch to the top using the official guard exit, which I've now added. It's this thing right here. The ban is like right there, so don't walk forward, basically just throw a pearl. It will land in the safe zone outside the ban, and then run off. Then have your auto panic guard disconnect, and the entire prison will be banned. In that time, the guard who's free can get as much gear as they want, as many more guards, and then revisit. The auto panic guard can come back on. The guard can quickly go through the visiting process with his new set of gear and come back up here and continue the fight. Again, like I said, come up with solutions. You have plenty of time to think of plans depending on your particular scenario. And if all of that somehow fails, first of all, get better guards, and second, just have the Eleos auto panic guard disconnect. Wait for the prisoners' sentences to all be finished, and then log back on and just set them free. Frankly, that should never have to happen. I can't believe people still think that a mining down escape on Eleos Citadel is that easy. I won't deny that it could be possible, but come on! The odds are very easily in the guard's favor. You may say that having the Eleos auto panic permanently on is considered a suicide, but first of all, it's temporary, and second, I think I've put up a good enough fight. If you can design a suicide-proof mining in defense system that's better than this, props to you. I've done what I can, and I'm happy with it. But since the remainder of this community seems to value perfect, undeniable security over anything else that isn't super scuffed and lazy, I will give up my values and appeal to the masses. So if that's really what the decision comes down to, yes, the auto panic will stay on until the prisoner's sentences are up. Or until the guards come up with a better solution, because come on, is it really that hard? And ultimately, remember, Eleos Citadel was originally built as a joke, and then as just a challenge to see if I could build a humane prison, and I seriously never thought it would get this far. I'm honestly shocked it was once even considered the best prison. But there's no way I can improve Eleos Citadel as much as I want to without completely changing it, because there are just so many things from the past holding it back. So yes, I know there are still mistakes in this prison, but I have to stop, because I have much better plans for better prisons. I know how to build better prisons than Eleos Citadel, and it's much better to start from scratch. But it will always be remembered in our hearts for the legacy it left behind. So thank you, seriously, to everyone who's given appreciation to me, and especially to Coriolis, for the work we put into this. Thank you to everyone who helped in the development and improvement of Eleos over the past few months. Thank you to everyone who doesn't instantly hate it just because it has guards and light blocks. And thank you to the rest of you for watching to the end. Good night.